Such a pleasure to be right here with you on a very special show, The Turmoil in Tamil Nadu. And it's time to put the spotlight on politics. And we're joined by Nalin Kohli, the national spokesperson of the BJP, senior lawyer and Congress leader Abhishek Manu Singhvi, and senior lawyer in Supreme Court, as well as a member of the NCP, Majid Memon. Thanks very much, each one of you, for being with us. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, you wear many hats, and one of them happens to be a politician, and the other, of course, a lawyer. Whatever we've seen in Tamil Nadu and how it is unfolding, we aren't seeing Sasigala go down without a fight. She's obviously nominated Palanisamy as her proxy, but does she really have a moral or a legal right to do so? I mean, that's really the big question that a lot of politicians and people and commentators are beginning to ask.
I think we must understand two or three things. One, it appears to be the end of the road for Sasigala, for the simple reason that though review petitions and curative petitions are a theoretical possibility, in practice they have a fatality rate of over 99.99%. So chances of success are very remote. Now, the law of disqualification operates on her as a chief minister or an MLA. It does not operate upon her in terms of actions within her party. That's a legal position. If MLAs still want to, I'm giving a theoretical example, suppose you go to jail and the MLAs which are with you 100% want to support you, you can still be a party president in jail, because a party president is not disqualified. But you cannot be chief minister, you can't hold a constitutional post. Therefore, in the event, and I'm not saying it will happen, I'm giving you only a legal position, in the event that she remains a general secretary of the party, or becomes the president of the party, or holds an important party position, and the MLAs don't break up, the party does not break up, defections don't occur. All these are ifs and buts. But the legal position then is that the disqualification does not apply to her legally in any manner in a party post. Third and last, morally and ethically are different issues. Yes, you can argue that you should not have it morally done, but then somebody's morality is somebody else's vice. So this becomes a very unsafe and a very subjective way of looking at it. What you can say is the legal line drawn is clear, but of course we are far away from that, Supriya, because first and foremost a large number of MLAs have to show that they want her, and she has to show that they are not defecting and leaving.
Actually, I just observed it's quite a fascinating panel where we've got three politicians and all three of them are actually lawyers and legal luminaries. But Nalin Kohli, I'm going to throw the question to you, and let's put politics and morality aside, because Indian politics doesn't breathe morality in the same breath. I'm really going to talk to you about numbers. Is this all really going down to boil down to the numbers game? Who can muster up the numbers, whether it's Paneerselvam on one hand or Palanisamy on the other?
Supriya, actually it always does. That's what democracy is. It's about numbers. End of the day, whoever commands those numbers is the person who's going to be able to become the incumbent, can become the chief minister of the state. And that's exactly why there's a situation of uncertainty. And if you look at the developments over the last week in particular, that's been really the cause of, much of the discussion that's been in the public domain, which is essentially there's uncertainty, it's not clear yet, there's evidently a division within the AIADMK, it's their internal matter, they have to resolve it. Someone will emerge as the leader and someone will have to prove their majority on the floor of the House. So I think that's what it comes down to. But yes, as Dr. Singhvi pointed out, Sasigala, as a result of the judgment of today, cannot be that person who can become a chief minister, and she's disqualified to do so. So therefore it will have to be someone else, and it's now boiling down to the two names that you just mentioned a short while ago. Let's see how it plays out, and eventually we'll know one of them, or maybe a third person may also emerge. Whoever commands the numbers will become the chief minister of the state.
Whoever commands the numbers will be the chief minister of the state. But Majid Memon, if I may throw this to you, do you expect a flux happen right now? The inside tracks of that fascinating story that's developing in Tamil Nadu also seem to suggest that Sasigala actually went ahead and actually suggested Jayalalitha's nephew. The MLAs were up in arms. That's how Palanisamy came about. So it's a very fascinating story that's unfolding in Tamil Nadu. But my question really is, will you see more MLAs switch to the Paneerselvam camp? I know Palanisamy has already met the governor, offered his support, offered his own letter, his own numbers. How do you see this dynamic situation evolve over the next 24 to 48 hours?
Now, see, first I must tell you that there are certain doubts about the manner in which the politics is showing up in Tamil Nadu for the past almost a fortnight. Way back in the first week, earlier February, we thought that Shashikala was successful in securing support, maybe on paper, of a clear majority of the total number of MLAs in the House. And then, of course, OP revolted. Then we saw for 2-3 days he tried his best to break up the party and bring people on his side. Unsuccessfully, he couldn't do. But then suddenly, for the last 3-4 days, we have been hearing that, well, Shashikala's verdict is due. It would come anytime, now on Monday, and then Tuesday it has come today. Now, I don't know whether this verdict was already fixed much before in advance, or these political movements, how this Supreme Court's verdict was already fixed for today, or it was expedited, or it is very difficult for me to know from here. Nonetheless, once it is Supreme Court order, it has now assumed finality, literally, and as Manu Singhvi rightly said, that this is the, as far as the legal position is concerned, that is the end of the road for her, because the law says that she now stands disqualified even to become a member of either of the houses in Tamil Nadu. Therefore, there is no question of her becoming Chief Minister. Nonetheless, it appears that politically she may have gained. Now she will become a hero, because it seems that she wanted to save Jayalalitha, so she took up everything upon herself, and now she would go to jail for her, and then now she will be suffering sentence for 3 years physically, would make her a kind of a martyr or a hero or something of that kind. So politically, her image, her height, she may become a greater leader. But then, as far as law is concerned, definitely she can be the leader of the party. She may not be the leader of the house.
Right. Just hold your thoughts there, because what you're really alluding to is a very fascinating day in Indian politics, that how you get convicted and then you actually become a hero and not a villain. But Dr. Singhvi, if I may throw this to you, how do you see things evolve down south? Because there is the DMK, which is a Congress ally there, and that's one question. And the other is, can AIA-DMK survive unitedly through this phase, or is an implosion perhaps imminent?
Well, I don't think we need to comment too much on the internal affairs of a party, but as an external observer and not as somebody who's interested in the politics of AIA-DMK, let me say the following. One, and I jocularly half in jest tweeted today, that OPS, this may be the curtains for Shashikala, but it is not necessarily a victory for OPS, because OPS may soon find that he would prefer Shashikala as an adversary rather than the growing and overweening ambitions of all the MLAs who are left in the party, because he still has to deal with those ambitions. And he might find, ironically, that Shashikala was an easier adversary to handle than those MLAs. Second, I would be very surprised if an imminent breakup or a disintegration in some form or the other did not happen to this party. I don't want it to happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but I would be surprised if it did not, because it's a very, very fragile thing holding these groups together. There are actually almost probably 50 AIA-DMKs today out of all the MLAs, and where it will settle is anybody's guess. And thirdly, I think possibly it may be right to say that happier days are around the corner for the DMK and Mr. Stalin. If this disintegration does happen, which according to me is politically likely in the next 3 to 6 months, then obviously the disgust and the anger at non-governance should propel him into a position of power. There are the 3 points I wish to make, purely as an external observer.
Nalin Kohli, you agree with that assessment, that perhaps an imminent implosion within the AIA-DMK cannot be ruled out, and happier days perhaps for Mr. Stalin as things go forward?
First, I think your note is pretty interesting that all three of us don't happen to have any involvement with the AIA-DMK in that sense. I mean, it's after all a party that has to decide its own future. But 2 or 3 things. One is about what Majid Bhai was saying in terms of the Supreme Court judgment. I'd just like to bring it on record that yes, some lawyers had actually approached the court on the last Monday to point out that because of the developments in Tamil Nadu, and this was an impending judgment, what was the status with it, and they wanted to make an urgent mention about it. And that's when the court commented and said, yes, it's going to be out in about a week. And then it was expected on Monday, but Justice Roy, if I recollect, was on leave on Monday, and therefore it had to be delivered today. Justice Pinaki Chandra Ghosh and Justice Amitav Roy. Now the second part to what Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi is saying, there could be the exact opposite could also happen, because Paneerselvam himself was anointed as the Chief Minister during Jayalalitha ji's time. And therefore, he had been the person who had stepped in and stepped out. And this was a development, and he's invoked that himself. So yes, it's a fascinating political situation. It's uncertain. Whether it will lead to a split or not, no one can guess. That, that possibility exists in a political party when it goes through such turmoil. On the other hand, we need to bear in mind, when I was talking of the numbers game, that numbers game actually has to be on the floor of the House. It cannot be outside the House. And what we've seen over the last 1 week is MLAs, and there are questions whether they were there by their own will, whether they were kept there in captivity, whether it was a combination of both. We don't know. And we've been seeing steadily people moving towards Mr. O.P. Paneerselvam. So therefore, that's another scenario that could happen, is that if Sasikala is going in to jail, as is now, should follow in the next day or two, in that particular scenario, you may see everyone coming together for saving the party rather than allowing it to disintegrate. So both these scenarios are likely. You can't say that it's going to be one or the other, and we all are actually speculating, because none of us would be having access to the real situation, which is probably going to keep on unfolding every minute of for the next foreseeable future, a few days at least.
Right. Right. Mr. Kohli, hold your thoughts there, because it's time I throw this to not the Congress and not the BJP, but to Mr. Majid Memon. And are you surprised that Abhishek Manu Singhvi, in his tone and tenor, sounds a little more sympathetic to the cause of, the DMK being emboldened, and Nalan Kohli, in his tone and tenor, sounds more sympathetic to the OPS camp? I'm going to come to both of you for reactions, and I just want to get Majid Memon on board on this.
Now, see, I believe that, because I have also been very constantly watching every hour's development for the past almost a fortnight. The role played by the governor has been appreciated by our friend, the finance minister, just a few hours ago. And he says that I appreciate the conduct of the governor in exercising restraint, in not hurrying up. Now, see, this judgment of Supreme Court is not a political event. It has not happened, but politically the situation was shaping in the matters of hours. It is difficult for me to appreciate the role of the governor for the past 5 days, that why was he allowing the stable in which the horses were let loose, and then a lot of horse trading was going on, and he could have, instead of coming to Mumbai after consulting the Union Home Minister, he should have gone to Tamil Nadu immediately, because he knew that there was a political storm, and the governor had to play a very important role in the happenings in Tamil Nadu itself, but he chose to come to Mumbai and spend another day or two. Then again, when he went there, then he's asking both the parties to meet an hour, and then he was waiting till 14th. I don't think the governor was under the constitution expected to wait for the verdict of the Supreme Court. That has nothing to do with the political happenings. And of course, unfortunately or coincidentally, I must say that it has so happened that the verdict came on time today, and it has given a very effective impact to the whole political movement that was going on. And attempts were being made to break AIA-DMK. Now, who was doing it? It is difficult for us to say with certainty. But definitely, and I must give full marks to Shashikala's followers, the MLAs who were housed in the resort, that they stood by her firmly. And even now, as we get the reports, they are standing firm, notwithstanding the fact that she is disqualified, and still the person who she names, is being fully supported by these 120 people, and I don't think there will be any difficulty in swearing in of the new man.
Hold your thoughts. Nalan Kohli, you want to come in? I'll give you a very brief chance to butt that, because I have another allegation that's coming up your way to defend.
Well, the first point is that it doesn't matter who is the chief minister, and that doesn't really concern the BJP in any way. nor does it actually to the NCP or the Congress. That's something that the AIDMK, and it has to be a numbers game. Whoever has the numbers, it doesn't matter. A camp, B camp, a new C camp, or an eventual D camp. Whoever has the numbers on the floor of the House is the person. After their own legislative party meets, they will elect their leader. That leader may change over a period of time. So it's anybody's guess, and it doesn't really concern in terms of anyone's sympathy or the other. I mean, there's no sympathy to be taken away or to be given in this scenario because we are not the parties involved. The second part is about the governor's role. I think we need to look at the governor's role a little carefully, and there I have a contrarian view to what Mr. Memon is saying. The first part to it is that the governor has the power of discretion under 163.2, Article 163.2. Now, he's not supposed to contribute towards uncertainty. Whatever has to be done has to be a scenario in the interest of the state. And I think what's happened is here by trying to allude that, it's all related to a Supreme Court judgment. Of course, the judgment was a factor. It was well in public domain from last Monday that a judgment is to come. It was well speculated that this judgment is going to have, and it was evident, in fact, the judgment would have far-reaching implications, one way or the other. If it exonerated or upheld the Karnataka High Court judgment, then obviously Sasikala would have become strong, invincible in that sense. So all this would have become clear in a short span. And if the governor was taking advice, including of the AG, of others, he was doing, I think, the correct thing. So I don't know why we should question that, because end of the day, his decision of not acting in haste stands justified today.
In fact, in an interview to me, I think Mr. Jaitley said on Friday that the governor should wait and watch and things to evolve. But Abhishek Manu Singhvi, because we're talking about the governor, it's only fair that I ask you this question. What do you expect Governor C. Vidyasagar Rao to now do? Is there a possibility at all, and some people are asking this question, of a president's rule in Tamil Nadu, given the flux that the state has now slipped into?
Well, the governor's task at one level may be easier, at one level may be more difficult. It would be easier in case Mr. OPS consolidates his majority because there is no rival contender. I'm assuming that happens. I'm not saying it will happen. Assuming that happens, the governor has no option. He has no discretion. He must call immediately for that parading and signatures and then immediately swear in, assuming it is Mr. OPS or anybody else. And then at the most, although I don't think it is necessary, say that, okay, you have a floor test also after 10 days to reaffirm that majority. That's the easier one. In the event that neither Mr. Paneerselvam has a majority, or that 5 groups appear, or that 10 Sashikalas and 10 OPS and 10 of a third person are fighting, then I think the governor would have to start moving towards some form of governor's/president's rule. I don't know what is going to happen, and I don't know whether it will be a correct reflection by the governor. But then, yes, it would be a period when, if no government can be formed, obviously OPS cannot remain a caretaker chief minister for too long. So that's where the whole problem arises.
But Abhishek Manu Singhvi, before I move any forward, what do all those events in Tamil Nadu really mean for India and perhaps New Delhi eventually?
On an idealistic plane, it doesn't mean very good for either Tamil Nadu or India, because at least 3 to 6 months of instability, even breakups take time to occur, even breakups take time to implement. So 3 to 6 months of instability is a long time, and don't forget, with all the chaos, Tamil Nadu has been a very fast growing state. So misgovernance apart, non-governance can be very costly affair. Number 2, I am equally concerned about the fact that the BJP should not fish in troubled waters. Numbers game apart. Numbers game, yes, it depends on numbers. But parties like the BJP, which don't even have a name in Tamil Nadu, trying to do proxy rule in some form, I'm not saying that Mr. OPS will subject himself to that, but trying their best to play proxy rule would be a very bad thing for the entire polity, and it will only propel the DMK even faster into power. And thirdly, there will be an inevitable attempt to use the block of 39 MPs in important events like the vice presidential and the presidential elections coming up. This is apart from the MLAs and apart from the 5 or 7 or 10 Rajya Sabha MPs.
Abhishek Manu Singhvi has raised an important point about BJP trying to fish in troubled waters there, and I know both of you are raising hands, both Nalin Kohli and Majid Menon. It's only fair that I give Nalin Kohli a chance to first counter that allegation. Nalin?
First of all, I think you can fish only if you have a fishing rod. The BJP doesn't have a presence per se in Tamil Nadu, and certainly not in the assembly in a way to exercise anything. So I think that's a notional concept. Obviously, the Congress party has a stake in wanting to drag the BJP into everything, and that's okay. That's a political statement. But how much it is founded on, a bedrock of actual, actual possibility, I think that's highly questionable. So I think I would reject that, number one. Number two is in terms of, trying to maneuver or trying to, create a situation. No, I'm consistent about it. In fact, if you go into legal opinions, and that's been all in public domain, there are very big legal luminaries. A contrarian view to what is being suggested is, instead of swearing in someone just on the basis of numbers, is also that you could ask the incumbent. The incumbent could be asked, as Mr. Paneerselvam, go on the floor of the House and prove your majority. And if it doesn't prove it, the next person just steps in. Now, I'm not saying this, I'm just saying it's out there in the public domain, and big names, people who have dealt with constitutional law, who command that respect, are speaking about it. So these are the various things before the governor. President's rule is logically a very last option. It's not the first option, it can't be the second option. It has to be only if there's certainty that no government can be formed. And at present it doesn't seem so, because it seems to be broadly divided between these two camps. Someone will, in my expectation, come up with the numbers, and whoever comes up with the numbers will get sworn in. It's only if there is a total breakup, as first Dr. Singhvi was saying, that multiple factions come up, everything happens, then that might be a situation, but we can't speculate. We'll have to see whether that actually happens before we really can even make a comment on that.
Just the last thing about the presidential and vice president
elections. Sorry, just on that last point on vice presidential elections. Again,
go ahead.
If the vice presidential candidate, if the vice president candidate is a consensus candidate, then even, logically, the Congress party is on the same side. If it's not, and that's true for any vice presidential election, then whoever are the candidates, there will be an attempt from anyone who's backing those candidates to try and see the wider support so that that candidate wins. So I don't see how is it, being kept in mind of this. This is in the realm of speculation, because still there is a government there. Nothing can be said about in certainty about what will be the next steps that might play out.
Majid Menon, you want to come in on the point that Abhishek Manu Singhvi made ably batted by Nalin Kohli there, the BJP?
Yeah, I just
fish in troubled waters.
Yeah, I just wanted to add here that, you see, this government will have to be sworn in, because I hope that the person named by Shashikala would be able to demonstrate before the governor that he enjoys majority, and probably in the House also he would be able to demonstrate that. But it would be a very thin majority, doubtful majority, and if all internal games are played latently with invisible hand, either from center or BJP, and then probably it would serve the interest of BJP more if president's rule is imposed, because then they may have their own after effect of that president's rule for presidents or vice presidents elections, or for other political adjustments. So I think what Abhishek says is right. Then there may be some interest in destabilizing Tamil Nadu government, whichever government is formed in the days to come, and it may not last long, and president's rule may be serving the interest of BJP.
All right, there's never a dull day in Indian politics, and because Nalin Kohli has defended their charge, I'm not going to go back to him and ask him to defend it further. But thank you very much, Majid Menon, Abhishek Manu Singhvi and Nalin Kohli, for joining us on this very, very important discussion and debate as we assess and look at the way forward as far as the turmoil in Tamil Nadu is concerned. Thanks very much, viewers, for tuning in. Keep it with ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.